discussions in this show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. And now, Financial Renaissance with the EMMs.
Good morning, financial knowledge seekers. Welcome to Financial Renaissance with the EMMs. I am your host, Emma Folks, certified financial planner, financial expert, subject matter expert, just throw on a bunch of things, veteran, daughter, wife, mom, all that good stuff wrapped into one person. It's a lot of good stuff wrapped into one person. God gave me too many good gifts, and unfortunately or fortunately, I've got a couple of little things that I'm not so good at, like checking my voicemail. So I want to say sorry to everyone who has left me a voice message and I have not returned your call. Just text me. I apologize. Well, listen, I had a great week last week. We spent the week down in Tampa, Florida. I had a great time with some clients. I had a great time with some friends I hadn't seen in a while. And just being by the water is always so tranquil. It just kind of, no matter what's going on in your life, looking at water, for me, just kind of brings me down, just kind of calms me and centers me. And everybody has to figure out, what is it that kind of centers you? What is it about nature that brings you back to where you need to be? For some people, it's going out in the backyard and chilling, getting grounded, taking your shoes off, stepping on the lawn. I can't do that for a lot of reasons, but being near the ocean is my way of grounding myself. And maybe that's why I watch so many of those water themed shows, like Blue Planet, Planet Earth, etc. Anything with David Attenborough. But excuse me, shout out to AJ Fresh in Tampa and Captain Ron in Tampa. The National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, NGLCC, had their conference last week, so I kind of jumped on the tail end of that with my manager, Patrina Bloodworth. Also want to give a shout out to Life Lux Jazz. We're going to be there's going to be an international jazz experience in November that I will be taking part of. Also say hello to CJ. But listen, we've got a great show for you today. We have Charla Mitchell from oh man, did I mess that up? Yes, I did. Charla Mitchell. And then I also have to talk to you guys about what's going on with our stock market this week. Stock market has been absolutely insane, so I'm going to let you know what's going on with that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about an economic shakedown that happened in the early 1900s, So if you have any comments, things of that nature, you want to go to Sensation Station Network on Facebook. Go ahead and like it. That's when you hit the thumb thingy. And then you can drop your comments, thoughts, things of that nature in there. Or you can even text us at 678-613-5857. And you can follow along with us on my Facebook Live at Emma Folks. You can also find me during the week at Emma Knows Money on any of those social media thingies except Snapchat. When we come back in 300 seconds, I'm going to talk to you again about that war by deed of title, black farmers.
If you have the questions, we have the answers. Right. Go to ssnatl.com and click on the Contact tab. As much as you like. We're the nation's urban station. Online. ssnatl.com.
This country, you got to make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power.
And we're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Thank you for joining me this morning. Hope you are having a wonderful Sunday. You are listening to us live on ssnatl.com. That's on the internet. So even if you're in your car on the way to church, on your way back from church, you should be able to hear us. And on Facebook, you can find us at Sensation Station Network. Hit the like button, and we should show up. You can watch what's going on in the studio right from Facebook, so whether it's on your watch, on your phone, on your computer, what have you, you should be able to watch the show live. On today's show, we've got a couple of good things that are happening. One, we have Charla Mitchell from Know the Cloth. She's our special guest. And then we're going to have a sneakerhead stock report, as usual. But first, let's explore a land heist. And when I say land heist, I mean like a robbery. of the worst kind. You know what I mean? So I was reading an article. There's a magazine called The Atlantic, and I was reading in the magazine about some black farmers and what happened to black farmers in the early 19th century. So I'll tell you what happened. It was a war waged by deed of title, and it dispossessed. Somebody look that up for me. That's our financial word of the day, dispossess. Somebody look that up, tell me what that means, all right? So it dispossessed 98% of black agricultural landowners in America, okay? Let that sink in. 98% of the people in the 1900s that owned land, only 2% left still have farmland, okay? Let that sink in. What happened to all that wealth? That's what we're going to dig into a little bit today. So one of the culprits, or one of the recipients of this great land heist, is actually, a lot of us are going to be feeling some kind of way. It's in our retirement plans, or in your retirement plans. If you have a retirement plan run by TIAA, okay, which is now Nuveen, you too are part of this great land heist. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So TIAA is one of the largest pension firms in the United States today. And with TIAA, its subsidiaries, and a bunch of other companies, TIAA has a portfolio of more than 80,000 acres in Mississippi alone, and most of those are in the Delta region, okay? And this even includes this fertile crescent of Arkansas. If you put that in with Mississippi, TIAA owns more than 130,000 acres in a strip of counties all along the Mississippi River, okay? And I'm not singling out TIAA by no stretch of the imagination. I've got my own issues with them, during my 9 to 5, but right now this is just straight up facts. They're not the only company that has benefited from the Great Land Heist. There's also Hancock Agricultural Investment Group. They manage more than 65,000 acres in the they have a fund called Delta States. There's a real estate trust called Farmland Partners. They have 30,000 acres in and around the Delta. And then there's Agrivest. They're a subsidiary of the Swiss bank UBS. You know who that is, Old Payne Weber. They have about 22,000 acres, okay, of farmland down there. So here's a little factoid. Black people that were living and working in the Delta, today, most of them have been completely uprooted from the soil as property owners. So when we look at the disproportion between white Americans and black Americans when it comes to wealth, some of this has to do with land. So in Washington County, Mississippi, black people make up 72% of the population, but only 11% own farmland. Okay, that's pretty sad. And again, this is not a story about TIAA or any of these other companies, but it's really to shed light on, on America. Peel back the layers of that onion on our great country. There's a lot of things that happened in the founding of our country that has led us to where we are today, and we just need to be aware of it, all right? So in this article, the author points out that the newfound dominance in the region is merely just the topsoil, just the top layer covering a history of loss and legally sanctioned theft, all right? So the author goes on to say that TIAA's position is instrumental in understanding how how the crimes of the Jim Crow laws have been laundered by time. Okay, he used the word laundered. We usually use laundered when we're talking about illegal or ill-gotten gains, like, drugs and whatever else it is that people do out there. And we're going to talk about how these ill-gotten gains have become a structural part of American life as we know it today. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, I'm going to talk to you about, embracing your financial power and our market movers and losers, and also my top 5 news stories of this week. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. All right, and we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Hey, great show today. We are talking about the Great Land Robbery, what has happened in Mississippi in the United States in the early 1900s, which has led to the poverty of a whole group, a race of people in the southern region. So if you're hearing about this structural dysfunction for the first time,
fool me once. Shame on you. It fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
That's right. If you're hearing about this structural dysfunction for the first time, shame on you. Take notes, and the next time you hear a group of minorities or any disenfranchised person complaining about the system, before you want to tell them to pull themselves up by their bootstraps or something like that, why don't you make sure that their grandfathers actually had boots, or that their grandparents or great-grandparents' boots weren't stolen from them, okay? So let's just jump into the checkered history of the North American country that we call America, aka United States of America. And because we're cocky, we refer to ourselves as America and Americans. To heck with Canada and Mexico, even though they're part of North America, we just focus on ourselves. But let's look at the tapestry of America. So let's go to the West Coast. The Europeans, and when I say Europeans, there's lots of different countries in Europe. Spain, the Spaniards, the people that speak Spanish, because a lot of times we forget that the language of Espanol is actually spoken in Europe, okay? The Spaniards took the southwest region of the United States, so what we know is California today, the Arizonas, the New Mexicos, all of that stuff where these brown people keep coming back to is because it was their land at once upon a time. France got the middle of the United States, and the Brits took the eastern seaboard, okay? So the land was first taken away, again, by the taken from the Native Americans by force. It was then cleared, watered, and made productive for intensive agricultural by labor of enslaved Africans, okay? So these people that they stole and kidnapped from Africa, they brought to the Americas, and they made them work this land, the land that we are on today. Later, through a variety of means, and usually it was by any means necessary. Sometimes it was legal, oftentimes it was coercive. In many cases, it was legal and coercive. Occasionally, it was even pretty violent. Farmland owned by black people ended up in the hands of white people. That's just our history, okay? This land that was stolen was washed and rinsed again, and finally they tumble-dried it into larger holdings. And then one more final rinse to wash away those sins of deception off the land, all right, and make it nice and smell pretty for them boys on Wall Street, for them to feel comfortable with the distance of the ill-gotten gains, And I love numbers, okay? Numbers are one of those things we really can't argue too much about. It's kind of like facts. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, in the year 1910, there were 25,000 black farm operators. And that was an increase of almost 20% from 1900. So after slavery, a lot of the African descendants did what they needed to do to take care of themselves. The black farmland in Mississippi at that time in 1910 totaled 2.2 million acres. Let that sink in. 2.2 million acres was owned by black people in the United States of America in Mississippi. We're talking 14% of all black-owned agricultural land in the country, okay? Mississippi had the most black farmers out of any state in the 1900s. And where did it go? So for black landowners, their foothold was never secure in this country. Even though they owned stuff, they were never secure. From the beginning, even the most enterprising black landowners found themselves fighting basically a war of attrition. There were going to be legal obstacles that made passing the title of that land to future generations very, very, very difficult. Some people, they had to borrow against future crops for equipment and things like that. Some people during that time Also, when they needed loans, they had to borrow money from some of the white powers that be, and the white powers that be would lend them money if the politicians would vote against Reconstruction. So there was a whole lot of stuff that was done that, we kind of don't agree with, but it happened. There was a wealthy black politician who was a Republican at the time. Well, actually, he was a Democrat at the time, which is today's Republican. He had 200 acres when he started, and they asked him to help vote out Reconstruction. And, again, I'm not here to judge, but he voted against it. Afterwards, his patrons left him, so, hey, he had no more constituents. Nobody wanted to vote for him, and he was left with only 20 acres. So out of 200 acres, even though he voted against himself and his own people, he was left with 20 acres. So I don't judge, you know what I mean? It's just one of those facts of things that happen in our great country. But this factoid is going to blow your mind. 500,000, that's 500,000 black-owned farms across the country failed in the 25 years after 1950. So all these people came home from the war, okay, World War II, came home from the war, and a lot of their farms failed. How did that happen? I have no idea. The former president, Joe Brooks, the former president of the Emergency Land Fund, estimated that 6 million acres was lost by black farmers from 1950 to 1969. So again, in 19 years, 6 million acres were lost. So I know you guys are visual like I am, so let's figure out what that means. So from 1950 to 1969, an average of 820 acres a day, okay? 820 acres is the size of New York City's Central Park. 820 acres a day was erased with each sunset. That's how the land was wiped out, okay? So in the 1960s, black-owned cotton farms also disappeared. And we'll talk, I'll break down those numbers when we come back from our break on Financial Renaissance with the M's.
On DCP.
Text us with your shout-outs and requests to 678-613-585-7. Radio, knock them down.
And we're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. We're deepening our financial knowledge this morning. That's right. We're going to have my top 5 news stories coming up. But first, let's talk about this trip. I'm inviting you to join me in Los Cabos, Mexico for the Life Lux Jazz Festival, November 7th through the 11th. Life Lux Jazz pairs an upscale destination with luxury accommodations, great golf, engaging workshops, including mine. I'll be doing a financial planning for caregivers workshop down there, and you'll be nestled on the breathtaking Sea of Cortez, enjoying world-class artists like Gerald Albright, Incognito, and the Average White Band. That's right. Join us down. If you need to get tickets and hotel accommodations, things of that nature, go to Life Lux Jazz, LIFELUXE jazz.com for more information. All right. We have a guest in the studio this morning. Are you nervous?
Hello.
We have Charla Mitchell. Am I saying it right?
You are, yes.
I'm going to ask you every time I say you before I say your name. From Know the Cloth.
Yes.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about your company. How'd you end up in my studio this morning?
Oh, so my partner, Andrew Snorton, he is phenomenal in just getting me out there and being able to present this new venture of many of my businesses, which is cloth. I established cloth under my parent company, Hazel Fashion House, LLC. I'm a full-time fashion designer and shop owner. And I wanted to extend that to open up a marketplace, but also a collective of other creative businesses to where we come together, collaborate, show your products, sell to the community, and just have conversation and, the importance of collaboration within our community, as well as build a bigger relationship in terms of starting internships among creative small businesses and so forth. So I'm excited about this new venture and just look forward to the event that takes place next
All right,
week.
and you've been in the industry how long?
Oh, gosh. I've been in the industry for over like 20, 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So out the womb.
So So out the womb.
Out the womb.
Out the womb.
You're
I've
stitching
been,
stuff up so you can sew.
Yes.
With
so
a
I've
sewing
been-
machine.
Yeah.
A singer.
Uh.
What brand?
Oh, what? Oh, yeah.
Like a singer brand?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Yeah. Definitely a singer sewing machine. I've been sewing since 7, so over 30 years.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
Yeah.
Like some people just have it.
Yeah.
Some people either you have it or you don't. Back in the day, so I'm going to date myself, right? Back in the day, we used to have this class called home economics.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And girls had to learn how to do household things.
Absolutely.
Like sewing, cooking, etc. And we used to have these things, I think they were called patterns, right? Like by was it Butterwick and
Butterick,
something with a
uh-huh.
S. I made the worst.
Did you?
Yes. I couldn't even make clothes for my doll. It
Really? You didn't have a good home economics teacher then.
No, I think it was me. Everybody else was making Adidas suits.
Oh,
and
me
making
too.
all types.
That was my
They were
first
making
one.
all types of stuff.
Yeah.
Adidas suits was the thing.
I made a bull sweatsuit in 6th grade. That was our first home economics project, whether it was a stuffed animal and then you moved into apparel, and I did a whole bull sweatsuit. I had haters, but it came out sharp
Nice.
though.
Well, you lived in Maryland. Why would you do a bull sweatsuit?
Well,
Just kidding.
I know, right? That's the pattern
because the bullets sucked.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, he was popular,
Yeah.
and I guess that was our selections in terms of who we could pick out of those patterns.
So you mentioned the internships,
Yes.
right? Tell our viewers a little bit about the internships, because that should always pique people's ear up.
Okay.
Talk to us about that.
Well, how cloth came into fruition, I had an intern this past whole semester of her last senior year at Georgia Southern. She discovered me as a referral. I'm a graduate of Clark Atlanta University, and I received my degree in fashion design, fashion merchandising. And so somebody referred her to me. She was looking for a fashion designer to work with, but she wanted somebody that had her own business,
Okay.
because she wanted to venture out and do of the same. So interviewed her. So she was great. She was a good fit, young, ready to learn. And during that whole process of her interning with me, I discovered that there was a disconnect in terms of small businesses interacting and actually finding college seniors, especially in the creative sector. I know when me going to college and looking for an intern, I was able to come across fashion designers real known in Atlanta. And so, but that was me going to fabric stores and running into them. I think the disconnect, especially HBCUs or in terms of students, their mindset is to look for corporations.
Yeah, and that
To
you just
intern
end
with.
up getting lost in
Yeah.
the shuffle, and you're not allowed. Corporations stifle creativity. I take that back. No, I don't take it back. Corporations stifle creativity because you're going to encounter people who are sensitive if your work is better than theirs in some cases. And I think especially for marginalized people who look like us, we just have this sense of, when you look at the fashion industry, when I think about the 80s, and then I look at what's happening now, I'm like, come on now, you guys can't be serious. Or the 90s, you can't be serious.
Right.
Like, we used to
Right.
get demonized.
Yes,
We used
yes.
to get demonized for dressing the way that we dress, and now it is like hot fashion.
And it used to be hard to get in. This industry used to be very hard to get in, but now it's oversaturated. It's trends, social media, and all that good
Do you
stuff.
think that the internet, 4G, things like that have kind of leveled the playing field?
I think
Or
so.
social media, with
Social
people
media.
being able to advertise and show themselves off?
Yep, I think so. But I think there's a disconnect between gift and talent, or just a seller of product.
Okay.
And because I am gifted and talented, and artists put love and passion into it, and you can see it. And that's the extension, and what I want to ensure that is a continuation of.
Okay. Now, what services does Know the Cloth provide?
So Know the Cloth, again, it's
Oh, well, that's just well, go ahead.
yeah, cloth. It stands for Collaborators Lounge of the Happenings. So it's to cultivate creative businesses, continue the legacy of entrepreneurship, provide workshops, provide internship opportunities to where those creative businesses, we want to connect with college seniors within those art fields, as well as conversation in terms of continuing collaborations among creative businesses, particularly minority businesses. So that's the starting point. The marketplace next Saturday, August 24th, is a fashionable brunch marketplace where I do bring in selective vendors that I look at, makers, creators, designers. That's the idea, to find those creative businesses that actually make and create. And again, you can see that love in what their products are. And
Again, we're
design.
not talking about just sellers. We're talking about people that actually. So what if somebody is into knitting? Because there's somebody watching us right now who knits. I mean, she makes like nice shawls. She makes hats. I mean, she can make not hats, like like the scarf,
Right,
like all
definitely.
of that. She can knit anything, sweaters, all of it.
Yeah.
She should go.
That's super dope. Yeah, that's who I would want to look for. So the
Okay.
vendors go through application. So we look at application. We see what their what was their wow moment. And I have T-shirt designers, but it's about their personal experience.
Okay.
What they put on their shirt. How do we relate to it? And then what makes it so passionate to them? So that mix of thing. I have DIY tables that are going to be out of designers, including myself, to where you can personalize your own custom product. So it's really to get the community involved into art. I say art is good health. So
Yeah, and the art is one of those things that they keep taking out of schools.
yes.
And to me, when you take art out of a school, you're taking away people's ability to experience other cultures, dig into their own culture. Like now, when I go, I don't do social media that much, but when I do go on like Instagram and I see all these clothing designers that look like me and making clothes that are, for someone shaped like me, it gives me a lot of pride. And it makes me want to try things and try different designers and things like that, and not people that I'd find in the stores.
Right.
So I've been taking a break on shopping until I can figure out, like, how do I do this? How do I support some of these young artists? And I consider them artists, right? How do I support some of these young clothing designers without, taking, like, how do I know that it's good quality? How do I know? So there's all these things, but we'll get to that. We'll talk
Yeah,
offline.
because you got
We'll
me
talk
now.
Yeah,
See
yeah,
our
we'll-
clothing company
no,
right in front of you.
I know.
You're a perfect client for me. Most definitely.
So on the 24th, this is going to be here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
Georgia. Where's it going to be?
It's at the Blank Canvas ATL in Castleberry Hills, 321 Nelson Street. People can purchase their tickets on Eventbrite, cloth times collaborators brunch.eventbrite.com, or of course they can go on the website if they need to find it easier at knowthecloth.com.
Now, do you find that the community is really supportive of you?
In some instances, yeah, there are challenges. I think within our community as a whole, in terms of extending the support to investing.
Okay. So I tell you what we're going to do. Do you have time to stick around?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, cool,
Yes.
cool. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, I'll have my Emma Knows Money segment teaching you 4 tech tips to get back at those scammers when we come back.
Buy your home, you became a house hunting ace. Learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. Now you're queen of your castle. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll feel empowered to own your retirement like you own your home. Go to aceyourretirement.org. Because when it comes to clearing financial hurdles, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's, streaming live on Sensation Station Network. Sean's killing me with the music again. You're listening to us on ssnatl.com, and if you're on Facebook, go to Sensation Station Network. Hit the like button or go to them, like them, and then you can watch us live. You can also put your comments in the comment section, or you can text us at 678-613-5857. And as always, you can always also tune in looking at our, what is that, my Facebook page, Emma Folks, Emma Knows Money, something like that. But we are here with Charla Mitchell from Hazel Eyes Fashion House and Company. I like Fashion House.
Thank you.
It sounds very, yes. And the event that she's going to be hosting next week is called Cloth Times Collaborators.
Yes.
I said it right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. And before the break, we were talking about the event that's happening. What can people expect? How many hours is it going to be? Is it all day? Is it 4 hours?
It's 12 to 3 p.m.
Okay.
So brunch hour. So as they come in, I pretty much say it's shop, sip, eat, and vibe.
Sip? There's going to be drinks?
Oh, yeah.
Alcohol, adult beverages?
Yes, it's
Oh.
21 and over. And yes, it's a self-serve brunch and cocktail bar.
Okay.
And just a good vibe. I just want people to come in and not have any expectations, but the expectation is just to have a good time, view the vendors, shop with the vendors.
Yeah, and meet other
And
people.
meet other
Meet other people, I
people.
think, is the biggest
Yes.
thing. It's like, come, the community has an event. There's going to be, it's a clothing event. So I know a lot of people were upset earlier this year. There were some sweatshirts that were made with nooses. There were some keychains made with, the big eyes and that whole minstrel thing. And there were a lot of people that just kind of stepped out of bounds this year, pretending that they didn't know what was offensive, to people. And, I don't walk around with a keychain with like little peonies or nothing like that. And I'm sure that would be offensive to certain people, but I would never make fun of a group of people and act like I didn't know what it was
Right,
about.
absolutely.
So I know a lot of people were very upset about it and said that, hey, I'm not spending my money anymore with a designer who wants to make fun of something that was culturally so painful. So next Saturday is a day for you to, if you're like me, that's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because you don't know where to put your dollars for your clothing and you want to support people that look like you, come out to the event. Now, what about this? The show is nationwide.
And it's a mix too. Like there's, I also have a vendor that makes custom glasses. So like in terms of like what do you like to put your Cabernet in? What do you want to put your coffee in? So it's actually a more lifestyle merchandise brand.
Oh,
so
okay.
I do have clothing, I have art, I have a mix of anything art facets.
Okay.
But there are
okay.
clothes. So
what
it's-
about candle makers?
Well, I have actually a business owner within the discussion portion at the event. She just opened Get Lit Candle Bar.
Okay.
She's actually my best friend. So she'll actually be in the discussion talking about what is the importance of collaborations among one another.
Nice.
So yes.
Nice. Yes. And I tell you what, on Financial Renaissance with the M's, I'm feeling in a giving mood today. So if you want to go to this event next week, go ahead and what should they do, Sean? Text us? Text us at 678-613-5857, and Patrina will pick who's going to get that free ticket. Right, Patrina? No. Yes? Yes. She's feeling giving today. So, also before the break, we talked about the support, the support of the community. One of the things that happens a lot of times in our community when we're doing something, people want things for free, or they want discounts. So have you had that experience? And how do you handle it when people hit you with the, oh, can I have this for free, Fitty?
Yeah, can I have the friend discount?
Is that support?
I don't think it's necessarily support. As a business owner, I'm looking for clientele. And clientele to me is a continuous investment in my business. Always when I make a sale, I say thank you for your contribution.
Okay. Okay.
Because you're contributing to my business in building, and so that I can continue to service you.
Okay.
Support is good. I don't take away support. I have family support. I have organizational support. And I just businesses as a whole to sustain themselves and grow. Who are going to be consumers of the brand or of the product and service, so that we can continue to have long stability in our business.
I always think when people hear that you're a business owner, they're like, oh, they must have money, or oh, they must have this, and they don't think about the overhead. They don't think about the cost. They don't think about, the intangible stuff like your time what happened, what was going on in your brain. You know, a lot of us go to school to learn something or to hone our talent, you know, to sharpen our sword. And people take it for granted that just because something is up here, that it should be free.
Or the mindset that because we are people of color and we have a business, that our businesses are supposed to be cheap. And so this is where that discount situation comes into play. I put quality and love. I'm an exceptional sewer, and I put quality and love in my work, as well as, you know, putting together my cloth events. I do my very best. So the expectation should play the same role as any other business outside of those being non-minority.
Yeah, I love the passion. I gotta tell you, when I meet a young person that's passionate about something, it just blows me away, because I always feel like they're kind of looking at getting into a whole bunch of different things, et cetera, et cetera. So it really does feel good to see you so like passionate about your craft. Now, if people are not in the Atlanta area, because this show's all over the country, can they go online? How can they take part in the marketplace?
They can hit up IG at Know the Cloth, KNOWTHECLOTH, and just touch base, interact, as well as they can interact with me as my fashion designer self at CRCCO, which is also on Instagram. And just, you know, let me know you can connect. You know, Hartsfield Airport is just around the corner.
Wow.
And hey,
She's saying
let's go.
Buy this last minute ticket and come on down. Actually,
Absolutely.
yes. And we learned about an airline called Spirit, Trina, didn't we? Learn about an airline called Spirit Airline, or one of those little ones, like if you jump on it, you know, the tickets are like $25, and then you pay another $25 for the seat, another $25 for the seat belt, and then if you have a bag, you pay another. So that was what, $100 to get here to Atlanta. If you want a seatbelt.
Yeah, you want a seatbelt.
If you want a seatbelt, you can make it here for less than $100. But I think it's definitely going to be a good showing, and I love that you went to a HBCU.
Yes.
I love that you went to a HBCU. I'm seeing so much productivity coming out of HBCUs recently. And I shouldn't say recently, there's just more light on it. And I don't know if it's because of, you know, social media, etc. But I'm seeing some, oh my gosh.
And we're being updated. I mean, I graduated from Clarkland in 2000, and my fashion department was literally like in the basement, moved to a church. Now we have our own building,
Okay.
you know, separate from the art department. We have a fashion design department. So, you know, over time, HBCUs are growing because they see, again, how great we are going to become.
So who are some of your, let's talk about fashion designers. Who are some of your inspirations?
Well, as far as fashion designers, I don't really have inspiration. People and eras are really my fashion inspiration.
Ooh, eras.
Yeah, like the 60s and 70s. I like how we dress classy, simplistic, but, you know, we had our own swag.
Right.
So I like to carry those type of styles and style aesthetics within. And then I also look at, like, my parents and their friends and, you know, how they didn't leave the house looking unkept, you know. So those are really my fashion icons when I look at that. But, you know, ones that I admire, Tracy Reese, of course, my muse and soror, Josephine Baker, just how she just, whoever was dressing her, or just the concept, just styling wise, you know, performance, and then when she was out being in activism and stuff. Just
you know, she was a
carry
spy
herself.
too, right?
Yes.
That blew my mind. When I found that
yeah.
out, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Look at us.
So just all that, just that energy. That's how my fashion and ideas and creativity kind of work.
Nice. So do you design for men or women, both?
I scaled down. I do just women's ready to wear.
Okay.
A little sassy, definitely chic, alternatively timeless.
Okay, so when we say ready to wear, that means off the rack? What does that mean?
Ready to wear means like every day, wear when ready. Like, you know, if you need to go to the boardroom, to the grocery store, to the girls, meet up for cocktails, date night.
Yeah, we definitely have to talk, because I've been on I've been protesting my wardrobe this summer, and I've only been wearing white shirts.
Okay.
Because it's hot, and I want to take the time away. So I stand in front of my closet. and 20 minutes can go by because I'm trying to put stuff together. So I've just decided I don't have the time. I need 20 more minutes every morning. So I've gone to one color, and I've taken out all those other choices, and I'm bored now.
Okay. Yeah.
So I said, I'll try this. Let me try this for a little while. Feel like it's a uniform or whatever. But yeah, that's we'll have to talk.
Yeah, definitely. I do wardrobe consulting. I go through people's closets.
Nice.
You know,
Nice.
because I mean, you're in entertainment. You know, your style and profiling. We have to continue that most definitely. Yeah. Even if it's your frames turning white, because now your whole vibe is the white for a season.
Yes, yes, and that's actually what I was thinking. I was like, so Memorial Day to Labor Day, I don't cook in my house. So this is the second thing that I've added on. So white shirts from Memorial Day to Labor Day. I don't have to. I take one choice, so I don't have to worry about what to cook, and then I don't have to worry about what to wear. A whole hour added back to my day.
Really?
Yes. She'll tell you. I wake up in the morning. What's the first thing I think about? Dinner. What are we having for dinner tonight?
Okay.
I'm that person.
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about it. Listen, I've had this has been amazing, and I love your energy. I love your vision. I love the name of your company. I get it now.
Thank you.
I get it now.
Thank you.
So, and big shout out to Andrew Snorton.
Yes.
Andrew and I don't know if he told you, he was one of the first friends I met when I moved to Atlanta.
Okay.
And back in '99.
Okay.
So we've known each other for just a little while.
Yeah, he's great.
Just a little while. We co-hosted a show called Timely Talk for a while, for almost a year. And but yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
when he told me what you were doing, I'm like, come on, let's do this.
That's
Let's do this.
awesome.
Let's do
Yeah.
this. So you want to tell people how to reach you, your phone numbers, all your emails, all that stuff?
Sure, yep. So I can be reached at, again, Know the Cloth, KNOWTHECLOTH, either .com on my web or email at gmail.com.
Email at Gmail.
Email at Gmail, no, that's not the,
Yeah,
but
come on
know
now.
the cloth, know the cloth
It's
at,
Sunday morning.
right.
People are still
Coffee
waking up.
is
Come
still
on.
kicking
Come on. Say it one more time.
but yes, know the cloth at gmail.com.
Right, and if you want a ticket to the event, you can go ahead and put a comment in our comment section or text us at 678-613-5857, and I'll make sure you get a personal ticket from me to you, because I'm feeling generous today.
Love it.
That's right. So one other thing I wanted to ask you, do you want to give a shout out to your school, your alma mater?
Oh, I always find a way, make a way, Clark Atlanta University.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So when we come back, we're going to continue with the Great Land Robbery. I'm going to give you my top 5 stories of the day, and then the market movers and losers. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
Sweet. All about bucks, kid. The rest is conversation.
And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, we are streaming live on ssnatl.com, and you are also watching us on Facebook at Sensation Station Network. If you want to join in the conversation, have a comment or thought, want to tell me what a great job I'm doing, you want to talk about our guest that we just had, you can text us at 678-613-5857. But listen, this is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to join me in Los Cabos, Mexico, for the Life Lux Jazz Festival, November 7th through the 11th. You're going to be nestled on the Sea of Cortez, enjoying artists like Gerald Albright, Incognito, and the Average White Band. And for more information, go to lifeluxjazz.com, and it's LIFELUXE jazz.com. That's right. Definitely want to see you there. So, but first, let's talk a little bit. Let's finish up our conversation that we were having about the Great Land Robbery that happened in America. I talked about the size of land that disappeared on a daily basis from black farmers. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit. I mentioned that, back in the day, you know, 14% of all the agricultural land was owned by black people, and most of it was in the state of Mississippi, in that Delta region. And a lot of the corporations, a lot of, whether it was, the judges, if it was the police, if it was just other residents of towns, they did what they had to do to try to squeeze that land away from the black landowners. Because land is king, just like cash is king. If you own land, land is only going to grow. And it doesn't matter what neighborhood you're in. If you own a piece of land, hang on to it. And that's what a lot of these black farmers wanted to do. But they were not able to pass this land on to their loved ones or their descendants, So back in the day, from the year 1950 to 1969, 6 million acres of land was lost by black farmers. So that ended up equating to about the land the size of Central Park for almost 20 years was lost each day. And in the South, we had black-owned cotton farms. And those just about disappeared. It went from 87,000 black-owned cotton farms to just over 3,000. All right? So that's a lot of wealth that was just wiped completely off the map. Okay? So looking at the, according to the Census of Agriculture, the racial disparity in farm acreage actually increased in Mississippi from 1950 to 1964. Black farmers lost almost 800,000 acres of land. Let that sit in. 800,000 acres of land. Gone. Gone, gone, gone. Okay? Wealth, gone. Gone, gone, gone. So if you have something that you're working on and you want to pass it down to the next generation, what happens if you take out a loan up against that property? And think about how a lot of our loved ones lost, and this is not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's an American thing, to take advantage of those that may not have the knowledge. I don't think that that's a fair thing to do. That's like stealing from a child or stealing from somebody that's elderly. There's just something stinky about it. So the Atlantic, the magazine that I got all these factoids from, they actually paid a research team, and the research team did an analysis. The research team comes from the University of Massachusetts and Ohio State. And they translated this land loss into a financial loss, so we can put numbers by it. So when people say that, hey, we can't put a numbers to reparation, it's a lie, because we have a number of what the labor would have cost if they had to pay the slaves. And then we can translate that, we can forward that into today's dollars. We can also take that same amount and put it to what happened during Reconstruction and then the Jim Crow era. A lot of black men were forced into slavery again, but they put them in jail. So there was free labor again, and we can also quantify that with a dollar amount. So here, let's continue talking dollars, because Emma knows money, right? So let's look at this, including both property and income. When we look at the financial loss, it translates to between 3.7 billion to 6.6 billion in today's dollars. That's how much money has been wiped away out of the African American community, the black community, any other names you want to come up with for people who look like me. The descendants of African slaves in the United States of America lost between 3.7 billion to 6.6 billion in farm land in today's dollars, okay? Not talking about any other, there were different cities and little things that happened around, I shouldn't say little, things that happened around the country in the early 1900s. This is another one of those, okay? So again, wealth wiped off the map, washed, rinsed, and repeat, and laundered until it ended up on Wall Street. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're going to have my top 5 stories as well as our market movers and losers. We're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Welcoming you. We're going to have my top 5 news stories coming up as well as my market movers and losers. But first, we need to talk about what in the heck is going on in Hong Kong. All right. As Americans, we have this habit of not paying attention to what's going on in other countries, or what happens in other countries doesn't affect us. We really do have this kind of tribalism thing going on. You know, I mean, we're one of the few countries where in schools, even though other languages are taught, a lot of people graduate from high school, college, and we only speak one language. You look at people from other countries, they're able to speak other languages. It is very important that in today's world, and especially in the climate we're in now, we're in a global economy. And if all you're focusing on is the United States, you are going to short-sight yourself, okay? So looking at what's been happening this weekend, actually last week, Hong Kong is pumping billions of dollars into their economy because they are on the verge of a recession. And what's happening over in Hong Kong right now is there have been protests for, I believe it's been almost a quarter. So it's been about 10 weeks they have been protesting over there. Businesses have been disrupted. The protesters have actually body slammed the financial markets overseas, okay? Next week I'll tell you a little bit more about the financial ascension of Hong Kong and how they broke away from China a little bit. And China wants, they just want one more chance. They want to be given a chance, and they want Hong Kong to come back under the fold of China. But the people in Hong Kong is 7 million people, and they're having pro-democracy protests. China is not a democratic country, although they have a president who just decided that he will be the final president. So that is not considered a democracy. But what the protesters have done is, in order to get the attention of everyone and the world, for that matter, is they shut the airport down. And when you shut the airport down, there's going to be rippling effects. Over 1,100 flights have been canceled last week. I think they shut the airport down for about 2 or 3 days. The police have been pretty rough with the people in Hong Kong. You know, there's been a lot of talk about whether or not China wants everyone to look at China as one China. That's their new theme, and that includes Hong Kong. And Hong Kong is saying, pump the brakes. We don't want anything to do with communism or whatever's going on over there. We've got our own economy. We're doing great. Leave us alone. So this is definitely a story we're going to have to peel back the layers on, because you need to understand the history of Hong Kong. You should also understand the history of China, what happened, you know, especially when we look at colonization. What did Great Britain do over there, and what did Great Britain do that led to the rise of Hong Kong? Man, it has been absolutely insane. In our markets as well, things have been going crazy. Manufacturing, manufacturing is one of those things that people are going to keep looking at to see if manufacturing does well, then maybe the United States does well. But what I'm going to tell you is manufacturing is one piece, and it is one of those things that we look at, but is manufacturing our salvation? If we bring manufacturing back to the United States and we start making stuff, is that the wave of the future, or do we really strongly need to consider technology? Many people say that, you know, hey, I don't understand this computer stuff, yada, yada. Computers have been in our lives now since the mid-90s. And you need to learn how to use it. And if you don't know how to use it, you need to make sure your kids, your grandkids, nieces, nephews, godchildren, everybody needs to learn how to use a computer. Public libraries, if you're not familiar with computers, public libraries have computers on standby for you to use for free. If you want to be part of this economy in the future, make sure you understand how to use a computer. When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, my market movers and losers. Lots of people meet friends or potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors love quickly Claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Asks for money to deal with an emergency or asks you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
On ssnatl.com.
Right, and we're back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. We are now going into my market movers and losers. Let's find out what in the heck happened last week. All right. Let's look at these gaming stocks. The gaming stocks were all in the green last week. So last week, the market dropped, the market bounced back up, the market dropped, the market bounced back up, the market dropped, the market bounced back up. Here's what you need to know about volatility. If we are in the recession now, and if we are on our way down, it's going to be volatile on the way down. Just like it was volatile on the way up, it'll be volatile on the way down. So the gaming stocks this week: Microsoft, Sony, EA, Electronic Arts, GameStop, Zynga, Take-Two Interactive, Activision, Blue Mobile, and Hoya were all in the green. They all finished the week up. Cannabis stocks, only Kronos and Tilray were down. We had Aurora Cannabis, Canopy Growth, and GW Pharmaceuticals finished the week in a positive note in the green. Let's look at this luxury retail board. Luxury retail board, everything finished in the green globally, because the luxury retail market, we're looking at the European market, we're looking at the British market as well as the United States. So Moet Hennessy, Louis Vuitton, Ralph Lauren, Tapestry, Estee Lauder Companies, Tiffany, Hermes, Kering, and Burberry Group all finished in a positive light last week. So who do we have left? Our sneakers, sneakerheads, sneaker stocks, all finished positive. Nike, Adidas, Pumas, Under Armour, and Sheltr, including Foot Locker, all finished up. Now, there is a new sneaker deal between Nike and Foot Locker, and they, I think Foot Locker probably sells about 80% of Nike stuff anyway, but they have a new deal that's coming up, and it's called Discover Your Air campaign, which is exclusively, they're going to sell Nike sneakers. So yeah, we'll find out. We'll have a little bit more on that next week. I'll probably do a story on it to just dig into that a little bit. Now, Recession Watch, Dow Jones Average, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ all finished up. The Dow Jones U.S. Home Construction Index also finished up. Now, something was tight, like kissing cousins tight. Like, things are getting a little creepy here. Well, yeah, things got creepy last week. We are less than 0.1% between the 10-year Treasury inverting with the 2-year Treasury. Before it was about 50 basis points, 0.5%. Now we're down to less than 0.1%. Last week, the 10-year Treasury finished at 1.56%, and the 2-year Treasury closed at 1.48%. I'm just saying, remember, when the 2 years yield is more than the 10-year, we are smack dab, the recession has started. So oil and gas was also, oil finished up last week. Natural gas, gold, silver finished down. Wheat finished up, and copper finished down. Why are those important? Because we should be paying attention to all of that stuff, all right? When we come back on Financial Renaissance with the M's, we're going to get into my top five news stories for the week. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Asks for money to deal with an emergency or asks you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork. We are back on Financial Renaissance with the M's. That's some weird music. That reminds me of Public Enemy. That's what that sounded like to me. Hey, listen, first and foremost, I want to make sure that when I read different stocks that are doing good, bad, and different, up, down, I'm not endorsing any stocks by any stretch of the imagination, but I want you to pay attention to what's going on. As far as the sneaker stocks, them being up right now, everything being up right now just has to do with the overall global volatility. Okay, so it is no indication of any strength. What is about to happen, though, are because of the tariffs, a lot of these things, especially the sneakers, they're going to put a 30% tariff on tennis shoes. They're going to put a tariff on electronics. So if you're looking at getting a new phone, if you're looking at getting tennis shoes, getting just about anything that you need, you have until September 1st to get it, or you're going to have to pay more money. That's right. But first, let's go on to my top 5 stories of the week. So, home buying and millennials. Millennials seem like they don't want to buy a home, according to a lot of experts, because the repair costs too much. So, there is a new app, a subscription service called Sheltr. And what they're going to do is proactively help you care for your home and mitigate any issues before they become costly repairs. It's going to cost about $400 a year, and basically what they're going to come in, it's like a physical. They're going to come in, take a look at your house, the inside and out. If they see anything that's wrong, they're going to, tell you what the repairs are going to cost. You go out, you get them fixed, or let's say you want them to hang something up or do something. They can also take care of that stuff for you for a little bit of an extra cost. Home repairs are a lot cheaper if you catch them before things go wrong. So, if anybody is using Sheltr, let us know here at the station on the show. I'd definitely like to see what you think of that. Next story we have has to do with the $1.5 trillion student debt crisis. And why is it that the government has most of these student loan debts? So the federal government owns 92% of the student loan market, and only 8% has been left with the private lenders. And if you want to know how that transpired, let's go back to the recession when the federal government bailed out the banks. They also took off their books a lot of our student loans. So 44 million Americans hold student loan debt, and more than a tenth of that debt is in serious delinquency or in default. As of the first quarter of this year. So, we'll be looking at student loan debt. What do they need to do to repair it? But the question that most people want to know is, how did it get this bad? Who made it this bad? And you're not going to believe who it is. It was Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan is the culprit for the current student loan debt crisis that we're in, because he embraced the idea that every student and family should be on their own and pay for college. So he didn't make any investments into Pell Grants. So he felt that if you wanted to go to college, you can take a loan for it. The government doesn't have to help out. So that's one of those things that we're going to need to look at. The people that are running for president, they're going to have to figure out how to fix it. But one of the things that, as I was reading this article about the student loan debt crisis, again, there's no discussion of income. Everyone's talking about the inflation on colleges. 6% or more every year is the cost of inflation for college tuition. Inflation goes up about 3% a year. Household incomes have just about been stagnant for the last 40 years. So that's why there's such a disparity. It has more to do with income than anything else. Now, looking at our next story, we're talking about New York City, my home, big city of big dreams, the Big Apple. In the water, they tell us, in school, they tell us everything about us is great. Katrina doesn't like that. So New York City raised their minimum wage to $15 an hour. And this was supposed to bring about a apocalypse in the restaurant industry. And that is not what happened. So New York City restaurant workers saw their pay increase by 20%, just about done. And restaurant workers, service people in the restaurant industry, service industry, are usually the lowest paid people. They usually survive off of tips and things like that. And fortunately, it looks like the restaurant industry in New York City outperformed the rest of the United States in job growth and expansion. Okay, so that argument about the $15 an hour that it's going to harm small businesses. And again, all businesses have not been put to the test yet. This is just a small percentage, and so we'll still be looking at this. But right now, it looks like New York City's restaurant industry has had a boom, and they've raised their workers' wages to 15% an hour. All right, let's look at this next story. Jigga who and Will Smith. They are coming up with a kind of an Airbnb for camping. So let's say you have some property. I've been talking about getting into this gig economy, and how do you, make some extra money without leaving your house? You don't want to Airbnb your place out because you don't want strangers in your house or whatever. But let's say you have a lot of land, and those of us in the southern region of the United States, usually we're on like a quarter of an acre, half acre, whatever. We've got all this land, and we're not allowed to build on all of it. In parts of Georgia, most of Georgia, you have to keep a certain amount of green space. But here's what we can do with it. We can rent it out to people who want to camp. That's right. There are people who, for budgetary reasons, maybe decide that they want to camp out in your backyard, possibly even your front yard if you want to piss off your neighbors. So look for this new app that's going to be coming out by way of Jay-Z and Will Smith, and it's going to change the camping industry, and it's called Hip Camp. So when that comes out, again, you'll be able to rent out your backyard and front yard to perfectly good strangers. All right. Last story has to do with living in the south of the border, that is. There is a woman, 63 years old, who has been living on a beach in Mexico for about $1,000 a month. That's right. She lost her job in the United States. Things were going pretty bad. And in the industry that she was in, she was a journalist. As things were, moving online, a lot of people that were at the brick and mortar, newspapers, etc., magazines, they got shut out. If they didn't move online and pick up blogging, they got shut out. So what this woman did is she moved down to Mazatlan. She realized that, hey, she was a single mother of 3. She was trying to figure out how to make ends meet. And so she came up with something to do in that town for tourists when they came by. She produced some stuff in English, et cetera, et cetera. Now she's got a farmer's market. She's living great. She says she will never, ever, ever, ever move back to the United States. But let's look at let's break this $1,000 down, because that's the thing that is just getting to me. So for rent, she's spending $210 a month in rent, including water and electricity for a 1-bedroom. To gas her car up, she pays about $150 a month. Food, about $250. And again, down there is probably fresh fruits and vegetables and stuff. She pays $22 for Wi-Fi, $18 for a phone, and she uses some of those free things like WhatsApp, Facebook to make international calls, and even entertainment, she says, is cheap. She can go to the movies for under $5. I don't ever remember a ticket being $5 except for this little movie theater we used to go to in Queens Village. It was disgusting. I think we paid $3. She even has a vet who makes house calls for $15. She has a bike repair person. Now, she did say that travel was a little bit expensive, but here's the kicker, it's healthcare. She spends about $1,500 a year on healthcare down in Mexico with an international health insurance company. Her deductible is $1,000, and she says she rarely meets it because routine healthcare in Mexico is inexpensive. Even when she wants to go to visit the doctor, it's about $30, and she can get appointments the same week, sometimes even the same day. And the dentist, okay, because that's one of those things that's not covered by Medicare or Medicaid or any of that other stuff. 2 dental crowns cost this woman $135. So, if it looks like retirement's going to be a little bit of a struggle for you, okay, you can think about going south of the border, living on a beach somewhere. Make sure you have enough money to come back to the United States if you need to, but pick up Spanish. Start being nice to your Spanish neighbors, converse with them. Because for your retirement, you may need to go live down there. That's right. I wouldn't mind. Trina, would you live on the beach in Mexico? She doesn't know. But I don't know what they do about fresh water, bottled water, and all of that stuff down there. But I don't think I would have a problem staying down there a couple months out of the year, especially the cold months here. Like November, December, January, or like December, January, and February. I could see us down there. December, January, and February, we can go stay in Mexico. We'll have to look at that. I don't know if I can still do my job, but I can do the radio show from there. That's right. All right, so those are my top 5 stories for the week. When we come back, Emma Knows Money. I'm going to teach you 4 tips to tell those scammers to go away.
You can do it! You can do it! You can do it. If you have the questions, we have the answers. Right. Go to ssnatl.com and click on the Contact tab. As much as you like. We're the nation's urban station. Online. ssnatl.com.
Honey, what you cook for dinner tonight?
You want the good news or the bad news first?
The bad news first.
I cooked nothing.
Well, that's the good news then.
Uh-huh. Well, there's no bad news then, because tonight we're going to have Jerk Palace.
Call Jerk Palace for authentic Caribbean cuisine, including vegetarian entrees with authentic Caribbean flavor. Call 770-892-5049. Located at 6221 Jonesboro Road, Highway 54 in Morrow, Georgia.
Jerk Palace. Some knowledge belongs to us and us alone. The way our girlfriends walk, the way they talk, the way they touch their hair. We hold details that only a sister can know about her girls. But what about our other girls? The ones that we carry with us every day. Can we describe them when everything's right? Can we feel when something's wrong? Our bond with our sister girls gives life. But knowing your breasts can save it. You don't know mine. Go to knowyourgirls.org for the facts you need on breast health. That's knowyourgirls.org. Brought to you by Susan G. Coleman and the Ad Council.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
Already coaching? Everybody's a coach these days. I get it. Life coach, relationship coach, financial coach. But you want to be a coach with integrity. So get certified and do it the right way. Or add coaching to the work that you already do. Join a cohort or take classes at your own pace. We have knowledgeable instructors. We have a life-changing curriculum. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com to learn more.
Major key alert. Don't ever play yourself. The key is to make it, so make it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has pre-diabetes, with early diagnosis, pre-diabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its pre-diabetes awareness partners.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work. Sorry, I'm late. Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working. Me? Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Money. This segment of M&O's Money is brought to you by AARP Georgia. I am giving you something that you deserve, something that you need to have. 4 tech tips to out-tech the scammers. That's right. 4. All right, the first one has to do with the United States Postal Service. So when you think about the United States Postal Service and the word tech, there's got to be a disconnect there. I know it has been for me because many a times I have given them a package or sent something via the United States Postal Service and it has disappeared. Many a time I get the wrong mail in my mailbox. My neighbor's mail, they get my mail. You have to do this exchange. It's a nice way for us to meet our neighbors. So thank you, USPS, for making neighbors learn each other's names and addresses again. So United States Postal Service is actually offering each delivery day, you can get an email sent to you with the contents of what they are going to put into your mailbox. So let me say this again. Before the mailman delivers your mail, you will get an email telling you what is coming, and they're going to be scanning it in, sending a picture of it so that you'll know what it is. The email is going to detail the packages that are going to arrive that day or soon. So it's almost like tracking. And now you can cross-check your mail for theft. So if there was something that the post office says that they put out to go into your mailbox and it's not there within a day or two, then you know it definitely was stolen. So how do you sign up for this? I want you to go to informeddelivery.usps.com, and it's a free service, and that way you can track the mail that should be in your mailbox when you get home. The next tech tip has to do with robocall blocking. And this is going to be either free to about $5 a month. And there's 3 ways to block robocalls. 1, you sign up for the Federal Do Not Call Registry, okay, which, you know, should limit the amount of sales pitches you get. It doesn't limit the amount I get. My phone blows up all the time, so which goes back to why I don't answer my phone. Second thing you can do is check with your phone services provider. So if you're with AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, who have you, they should also have some stuff to protect you. And the third thing that you can do is sign up for a third-party robocall blocker, all right? And most of these are for your mobile phones. Some of them can also cover your home phones, too, if you actually have one of those. Some of the respected services are Nomo Robo, Nomo Robo, Umail, which is the one that I use, Truecaller, and also Robo Killer. So to get started, to get on the Do Not Call registry, that's the first thing that you should do. That number is 888-382-1222. And if you ever get one of those scamming calls, tell them that you're going to report them and that you're on the Do Not Call list. And then for the other third-party ones that I mentioned, No Mo Robo. Oh, No Mo Robo. You can actually go to their website. You can go to Umail's website. You can go to Truecaller's website as well as RoboKiller's website. You can sign up. And again, some of these are free. Some of these you may have to pay. But it's a good thing to do. It really limited the amount of robocalls that I got. I used to get about 15 a day, and now I may get about 2 to 3. The third thing that we can do, and this I had to make the people in my office do this, password managers, okay? These can be free up to $120 a year. And let me tell you why this is important. We have to have passwords for everything. And you know that these hackers are smarter than us. They go on Facebook and they look at the names of our cats, our dogs, our parents, any personal information that they can find out about us, put it in this little machine called a computer, and it does all these things, and then they try to guess at your password. And a lot of times our passwords really aren't that great. Even if we come up with sentences and et cetera, et cetera. So a password manager will help you keep track of all the passwords that you have, whether it's on your computer, your cell phones, your iPads, what have you. So now you only need to remember one main password for your stuff. And the companies that you can look at are Dashlane, LastPass, and 1Password, the number 1 password. Now, LastPass a couple of years ago got hacked. And the hackers got in, but they weren't able to get anything. They weren't able to get any of the passwords because they were encrypted. And LastPass made you, log back in, and they have the two-factor authentication and all that good stuff. But this is a great way to keep track of all the passwords that we have. And with some of these, you can even share it with your family members, which is muy importante. Right, Trina? All right. The last thing that you can do, and this one is free. This has to do with bank and credit alerts. And I've signed up for this, and it's a little bit of a pain, but it's also a level of comfort. Anytime you spend money, whether you're using your debit card or credit card, etc., you will get a text message or an alert, a notification on your phone letting you know which card was used and how much was spent, and in some cases even where it was spent. So you'll know immediately if someone who shouldn't be tapping into your account is doing that. You can call right away, or you can text no, whatever. Call the bank, call the credit card company, and tell them to deny the charges. So the way that you set this up, you go to your bank's website, or you go into the branch and tell them that you want the bank and credit alerts, okay? And that should, help you a little bit to make sure that you're at least putting a nice fence around you and your loved ones from the scammers and everybody else that's out there trying to get what we've worked really, really hard for. And that's my 4 tips on Emma Knows Money. Lots of people meet friends and potential love interests online through dating sites, social media, or mobile apps. It can be a great way to meet people, but not everyone is who they say they are online. In fact, scams related to online relationships are on the rise. It's a red flag if the person wants to move quickly to personal email or instant messaging to continue talking. Professors Love Quickly claims to be from the United States but is working or traveling abroad. Plans to visit but cancels at the last minute. Ask for money to deal with an emergency or ask you to open a bank account for them. Here are some things you can do. Cut off contact if you suspect a scam. Watch your wallet. Don't wire money, send cash, or put money on gift cards for someone you know only online. Learn more about online relationship scams at aarp.org/fraudwatchnetwork.
You have the questions, we have the answers. Right. Go to ssnatl.com and click on the Contact tab. As much as you like. We're the nation's urban station. Online. ssnatl.com.
And we are back with Financial Renaissance with the M's. Thank you so much for joining us on today's show. We had a great show. We had Charla Mitchell with Know the Cloth. That's going to be a great event. And again, if you are not in the Atlanta area or will not be in Atlanta next Saturday, you can go to knowthecloth.com, learn a lot, learn more about the event. And if you're into supporting your community, and the community doesn't have to be a color thing, it could be where you live thing, you know what I mean? Support small businesses. Go to knowthecloth.com and interact with some of the vendors. I'm sure there's something there that you can find. I also want to give I guess it's a shout out to my Greenwood Wealth Management team for holding it down while I was in Tampa last week. Jeffrey Wright, Shardea Aegis, thank you for all that you do. Even Nicole Swanson up in Iowa. I appreciate each and every one of you for what you do for us. And you too, Donna. You know I always appreciate you. Now, buy your tickets for Life Lux Jazz. Come down to Los Cabos and hang out on the beach with Patrina and myself. It's going to be a great event. And also, it's not just about the music. There are also going to be workshops. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, this is going to be a holistic event, a holistic experience, if you will. So come down. I'll be doing a segment, a workshop on financial planning for caregivers, telling people who are kind of stuck in that age range where you're trying to get your kids out of the house and off to college, and then you also have to help take care of your parents. And for a lot of people, our parents got tricked. They got suckered out of, as we've heard, land. They've got suckered out of great jobs. They got suckered out of their pensions. They got suckered out of a whole bunch of stuff. So we may have to look at taking care or providing care for our parents. And for some people, even if they did what they needed to do financially, their cognitive abilities start to diminish sometimes as they get older, and that's where we come in. So I'll be teaching people how to juggle. There's a lot of emotions that you have to do with that. So, again, what a great show we had. Next week, AARP is going to be our special guest. So definitely looking forward to that show. We'll be talking about some form of fraud, ways to protect yourself. And in September, we are going to have some politicians on, local politicians. I want to find out what their plans are to make us strengthen our community. I believe in the trickle up versus the trickle down. So what can we do on the Main Street level to just kind of boost our economy, get things going. And remember, even if we are in a recession, it is not necessarily a bad thing. Make sure that if you have money in savings, if you are waiting for an opportunity, that you take advantage of the down market when it gets here. And when it gets here, not these, the volatility. Wait till it gets here, then, do a little something, something. But, there's a whole lot of stuff going on with our economy, and we will definitely and always bring the latest and the greatest of what's happening on Washington and Wall Street, to you. So coming up next, we have Sensational Smooth Sunday. And as always, one love, one heart. Let's make our ancestors proud. You did right by me.